It's a grim day today, and my back's telling me not to push it. Don't go for a walk. So, come into my shed, and we'll have a look at my military knives out of my collection. I'm keeping my hands nice and warm, although this is the two-piece beer can meths burner. It looks, can you see the creasing? Where's my finger? Can you see the creasing around the top there? I think actually this has got squashed at some point. And it's not blooming. It's working as a burner, but it's not doing what it's supposed to do. It's not giving its little bloom ring, which it always did in the past. I think I might have to make myself another one. Let's start off with the three big ones first, to get those out of the way, because the rest of them are pretty much mostly clasp knives, pocket knives, you know. These three, two of them are very well known. The third one there, this one, is very old. So we've got a British, a Prussian and a Swiss. The British one we've got here, that's a reproduction of the old Fairbairn Sykes. Fairbairn Sykes Special Forces Nazi Guard Silent Quick Dispatch Knife. Ach nein was probably all that was to be heard. The only knife of its type in my collection. Moving swiftly on. This one here, that's an 1880s Prussian bayonet. The old wooden handle scales are missing. The bolts are still, nuts and bolts are still sitting there, possibly waiting to be renovated at some point. The steel on this is so hard. I did try to clean it up a little bit at one point, but stones just glance straight off of it. I don't know what it's made of. Any markings on it are long since rusted out, but it's an extremely tough steel. I do occasionally take it out and oil it to stop it deteriorating any further. I think, to be honest, I probably won't ever restore it, but it's really nice to have in my collection. Quite possibly saw active service in the Crimean War, you know, the original one, that is. Now this one's a Swiss bayonet. I think that if they're not still using these days in the Swiss army, they certainly were pretty recently. Now this one, it came with the sheath and the frog, which was a nice little setup, very good to get. And let me just show you. They were made by, some were made by Victorinox and some were made by Wenger. Now that one you can see has got a W on it, so that one was manufactured by Wenger. I might FW as well. Sorry, that's the military contractor who actually put the thing together. I think you can, from that serial number, actually find a date somewhere, but I'm guessing this is probably 1990s, maybe early 2000s or so. It's worn, it's been used, and it's nowhere near as sharp as the Fairbairn Sykes Special Forces knife there. I think this is obviously mounted on the end of a rifle. It's not necessary to have quite such a point on it. Now here's my British clasp knives. Timbo has asked about these in the past, and I saw Timbo's video yesterday about his what was it, his Japanese pocket knife, Japanese army pocket knife. And it just kind of reminded me, and while the weather was bad, I thought I'd do this video. But I think Timbo has asked in the past about this one here. I can't remember where he asked or what the video was. It might not have even been one of my videos, but I'll tell Timbo what I think this one is. Now, first of all, this is my oldest style British Army clasp knife. This one was made for the Belgian Army, as most of the ones you can find on the internet these days are. But made to the same pattern by the same companies, it's just for the Belgian Army. 1951, this one. Sorry, I'm actually quite struggling to twist my neck round to see the screen. That's the old, I don't know what it's made of, it seems like some sort of Bakelite or something, with the Marlin spike. It's all very, very solidly built, very stiff. Sheep's foot, oh that's very stiff. Sheep's foot blade. And when I bought it, it actually came with no edge on it whatsoever, and I've never really bothered trying to, I just cleaned it up. I've never actually put an edge on it. I had to clean it up because it came wrapped in its original waxed paper, and it had a very thick 70-year-old layer of either dried out grease or, you know, rancid wax all over it, clogging everywhere. So when I first got it, I had to get it for a really good clean up. This Bakelite type scale material has actually, look, it's receded, it's shrunk, it's left the bail loose, and it's actually cracked away there where the two rivets were pulling in opposite directions. But it's not a user, so I keep it oiled, I keep it clean. Oh, very stiff. I'll just keep that packed away as one of the collection. Now, we'll come to that one in a minute. This one is an original British Army issue, 1954. You've got the oil the joints, J.H. Thompson Cutlery Limited of Sheffield, and you've got the soldier's ID number on there as well. I did actually use this at one point as an EDC knife for a while, but it's got no spring left on it. I mean, the blade's actually in remarkably good condition for its age. There's still a hell of a lot of blade there, and it's never been badly sharpened, but the spring's gone. Still a bit of spring on the can opener and the bottle opener. Yeah, what was that one? 1954, that one. And then this is the modern, same as the Fairbairn Sykes. It's just a kind of, to the original pattern by the same manufacturers who always made it. A modern reproduction of what was at one point a British Army issue clasp knife. Now this one has got the Marlin spike and the sheep's foot blade and the can opener, bottle opener. It's extremely sturdy, just like the old 1951 there and the 1954. It's extremely strong, really well made. But it's the second one I bought, because the first one I bought was this, and it's a fake. It is absolutely terrible. We won't go into too much detail on that, because I actually got it from quite a well-known supplier, quite a well-known online supplier, and it wasn't any cheaper than this one would have been elsewhere, obviously minus the Marlin spike, because that one makes this one a bit pricier. But it wasn't any cheaper or anything like that. It's just what turned up was, it's not even made out of stainless. It's rusted. Where are we? I think I might have cleaned it off. I did. It actually rusted in dry storage. It's that one's a fake, so be careful, keep your eyes open. Now this one, it's kind of to the same pattern as the old 1951, only it's not Bakelite, it's some sort of alloy. It seems to be aluminium, something close to aluminium. It's got an enormous Marlin spike on it and a really big thick sheep's foot blade, very thick blade. Now when I bought this, let me just show you in comparison to the, so compare it to the modern sort of size. It's much bigger, and the blade is a hell of a lot thicker too. Now what I was told when I bought this from a surplus shop was that it was a naval issue knife. You've got the huge bail on it for hanging it on your webbing. The marlin spike is obviously for rope work, and the reason that blade is so thick and so heavy is because it was used for hammering onto to cut through thick ropes. And the ridiculously oversized handle as well. It's for use with cold hands, big gloves, that sort of thing. Now, I was always a little bit concerned that this wasn't a genuine army issue, sorry, a genuine forces issue MOD knife, because there's no crow's foot on it anywhere, which the others have all got. There's no crow's foot on it, but I later found out that actually naval issue knives didn't have the crow, well, I think even still don't actually have the crow's foot mark on them. So that's, I don't know how old it is, 1960s or 70s I think, from what I've seen online. But I like that one, and yeah, for your reference, Timbo, I think that's what that is. That's the best I've been able to establish. Well, it's finally blooming, but at the cost of flames licking my clamp. It's fine, the clamp isn't even getting warm to the touch. I'll just keep an eye on it. Right, now these are some German ones. These are some very old German ones. These are some, I think, still current issue. I think that's what they still use. Now they're all, these ones are marked as Victorinox. These two are made from a Victorinox pattern from Victorinox blanks, but it was, you know, it was sent out to various contractors to make them. Now, I think this is the slightly better condition of the old ones. I think these two older ones are 1960s or 1970s. Sorry, I'm having to film this at such an awkward angle. 1960s or 70s, these two. Now, they are identical other than the stampings on the blade. This one is Benson and Hedges there, you see, Rost Fry. And this one has, I'm very pleased to show you, has still got the original foil protector on the saw. Obviously with your bottle opener, your can opener and your screwdriver at the end, you want to be able to use those without cutting yourself on the very effective wood saw. Stick that back on before I do myself a mischief. So that one's B&H. This one is CCM, anyway, it's CCM. The blade's been a bit more badly sharpened over the years on that one. Other than that, they're basically identical. And these two here, these are the modern Victorinox standard issue ones. They're absolutely identical. No difference between them at all. And I love them. They're so good. They're a Victorinox, you know, I would very happily replace my everyday Victorinox Swiss Army knife with one of these. But it's one of, I do generally kind of appreciate that the UK knife laws are for the best, but it's this knife and one other which do really make me wish I could carry something with a locking blade. It's not an offensive weapon, it's an extremely handy little tool. And the saw on these is absolutely fantastic. I do use both of these up at the allotment quite often. Now these four here are honorary members of the Army Issue Knives Club. They're not strictly speaking Army Issue pocket knives, but they're all worthy of mention. First of all, let me just show you the big Army knife loser of my collection. This is a fake US Camillus. Funny thing is, I actually ordered it as a Dutch Army knife, and when it arrived it had US printed on it. I started to open it up and I thought it was very familiar. It does appear to be the old US Camelus. Now, one of the things about this straight away which made me think, oh my god, is it's falling to pieces. Look, this knife's never been used and it's literally falling to pieces. The bail is made out of pretty much tin foil, and before you can open the main blade, there you go, look, it is an exact copy of the Camelus. Before you get to the main blade you have to open the can opener and the screwdriver. It's dreadful. Anyway, that out of the way, this one here is the Dutch Civil Defence. No, not Dutch. Is it Dutch? It's Danish. This is the Danish Civil Defence knife. So not strictly military issue, but no doubt issued by their version of the Ministry of Defence. It's got a nice strong bail on it. It's got a half stop, which I always appreciate. That's good. And you know it's Danish because it's got the crown. Oh, I'm sorry. You've got the crown on there, and it says CF, whatever CF means. That one is a Alox Victorinox Farmer. Now this is the standard sort of Englishy kind of sized blade, but this slightly longer version of this was very much a military issue knife across Europe for a few decades. It's the Alox version. Now not only does it have the much tougher aluminium scales, but the blade itself, the main blade, is a little bit thicker, it's a little bit deeper, and it's just a few millimetres longer. So it's not just a tougher casing, it is a slight upgrade on the tools as well to the standard Victorinox Farmer, which used to be my everyday carry knife. Where are we? Also the bottle opener screwdriver there is not the usual sized screwdriver for this size knife. It's the screwdriver that you would normally see on the much larger, what was it, 100 and something millimetre one. But this is a version I have of another Victorinox knife which was used by lots of armies across Europe for quite a long time. Now this is the other knife which makes me wish our laws were just a little bit slacker, maybe for certain people with allotments and things like that, who might be permitted to use a locking blade. This is the Mercator K55K. It does say Mercator there. The reason mine isn't black, it's known as the Black Cat, the reason mine isn't black is because I bought it on the Raymiers website. And I actually really liked it in olive. I thought it looked, because it does have it's slightly reminiscent of a stiletto knife, which is a little bit, could be, well, it does look a little bit threatening, doesn't it? Which is the reason I got this one in sort of olive drab, because it looks far less threatening. It looks much more like a bushcrafter's knife. You know, no coincidence that it came from Raymiers. These days they're made by the Otter Messer company in Germany. You know, they've changed hands over the decades, but these came out in the late 1800s and throughout both of the world wars, the first two that is, throughout both of the world wars, these knives were purchased privately, personally, by soldiers from all sorts of armies all over Europe. Very well favoured, and it's very light as well. It's actually quite a longish blade. It's very nearly 3.5 inches. Another reason why it's just for the collection. Now this one is made by, let me just remind myself, Mikov. This is a Czechoslovakian knife manufactured by Mikov, and it's kind of a Swiss Army knife design. You've got the main blade there, which is locking. You've got this great big hand filed, thrown out of a very quick factory back lock. There you go. It's got a corkscrew which seems to have been made out of square stock and twisted round. Very strange looking corkscrew. The bottle opener screwdriver is pretty sturdy, or would have been. I mean, the whole thing is, it's very old and it's not too bad, but originally that would have been a pretty sturdy tool. And I think the other's a can opener. Yeah, there you go. Czechoslovakian can opener. The scales appear to be bone rather than antler, I would say. And the whole thing is, you know, it's very of its era, which I think is probably the 1950s in that part of the world. I've not been able to find out. Mikov do still exist. They still make knives. I think they still make firearms as well, actually. I've not been able to find out too much about it, but I'm guessing from what I've seen online, it's probably 1950s, that one. Again, never officially issued by any army, but very popular in that part of the world. And this is not the sort of thing you'd find in any war. This is a scout knife, I think from the 1950s again. Have a look there, you've got the scout figure embossed onto the sheath. And it's a Mora. It probably looks very familiar. Classic Mora blade. This is smaller, by the way, than your Mora Companion, etc. It is quite a lot shorter. Let's have a quick look. Oh, that burner's just gone out. We're not going to die. Don't worry, Molly. Oh, it's a 3-inch blade. Okay. So, being a fixed blade, though, obviously you can't everyday carry this one. But the it's very old and it needs a bit of a bash on the end there, because as you can see the finger guards come a bit loose. I think that's because this plastic handle has receded, shrunk a little bit over the years. Just needs to tap back down. But that's your very classic Mora blade. Just a slightly smaller version of it. Mora Sweden, laminated steel. 1950s, I think. Haven't done too much research on that one, to be honest. And last but not least, I've saved this one till last. It's a original Swiss Army knife by Victorinox, precision craftsmanship, a Victorinox product. Now this model is the Champion, precursor to the Swiss Champ. Let me just have a quick swig. Or 10. Now, it's not in perfect condition. One of the scales here has chipped the end off and broken away from its rivet. That is very easily repairable with a new set of scales, but this is very old. I don't want to replace the scales. I never use it. It's all fine. I'm just going to leave it boxed up as it is with all its original pieces. I don't know if I need to take you through the pieces. There's a million of them. Back then they had a nice 3D Phillips look. It even had, look, I'm surprised considering its age, 1970, mid-70s. I'll show you that in a minute. Little magnifying glass on it. Where are the scissors? There's the main blade. Actually, if you were expecting a 1970s Victorinox blade to be slightly bigger and chunkier than a modern one, it's not. If anything, it looks ever so slightly slimmer. Where's them scissors? Oh, there's the fish scaler, and it's a fish scaler. Here's the scissors. You've got a different spring there to what we have these days. Oh, hang on, is it broken? I'll tell you what, I was just going to say that's got a simpler spring, but I've got a feeling it was the same spring as we have. It's just busted. The all-important saw there appears to have never been used. And here you go, here's a difference from how they used to be. The tweezers there have got a little, it looks like aluminium, but I wonder if it might be lead, knowing the time. Anyway, some sort of little pressed soft metal tip rather than the white plastic one on your tweezers. Now, what I really like, that is, it's nothing amazing, that knife, it's mid-70s. What I really love about it, I've had it for quite a long time, but just recently I started poking around in the box and I found that. And it's the original receipt. Look, what a find. It's from a company who I presume later became the Millets that we all know. Millets Western, Greenfield Millets Limited, Armdale Road, Feltham, Middlesex. Now it's a handwritten receipt, a Champion, £15.99. It was served by assistant number 5. I don't know what Huggers means, but down here look, 6/3/76. So the date on this receipt is the 6th of March 1976. And there again you've got the price of £15.99. And on the back here you've got a list of branches of Millets Western. What an excellent find that was. I'm going to fold it, look, I don't want to damage it, I'm going to fold it up and put it back where it belongs. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was informative. Maybe I'll see you soon making a new one of these. See you later.